I've been joined by Elvis Darko, who's the editor of The Finder. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, yourself?
Good. Thank you for being with us. I was going to say the finder of the editor. I also have with me lawyer Kwame Jantuah, who is the former vice chair of PIAC. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Dziffa?
I'm good. Thank you for being with us.
Good weekend?
Yeah, it was okay. I can't complain. How was your weekend?
Very restful.
Good. Let's take a look at our first story here. It has to do with the Auditor General and GETFund. So it says here, Auditor General indicts GETFund for illegally funding foreign scholarships. So the Auditor General has indicted the Ghana Education Trust Fund for breaching its mandate and illegally funding foreign scholarships. Performance audit report from the Auditor General cited by Citi News said the GETFund Secretariat breached the object of the fund and administered the scholarship themselves. So it goes on to break down the beneficiaries, the amount spent, but there's an interesting part of this where I'm going to scroll all the way down where it says that the report noted that the current Education Minister, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, and the current Procurement Minister and Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, Sarah Adwoa Safo, benefited from the scheme in the past. This is, however, before they became government appointees. The Procurement Minister is listed as having studied at the Harvard Kennedy School, benefiting from $12,800 in allowance with $17,004 in tuition fees. The Education Minister, Dr. Opoku Prempeh, is noted to have participated in a course on national and international security at Harvard University, where he received $12,800 for living expenses and $11,200 as tuition fees. The minister has come out to react to it. I'll read his response briefly, but before that, GETFund also responded. So I'll read GETFund's response, and it's also on citinewsroom.com. Napo Adwoa Safo not awarded scholarship under our administration. That's coming from GETFund. So they're saying, and I'll read what they had to post briefly. They said the attention of the Ghana Education Trust Fund has been drawn to some social media reportage which suggests that the GETFund awarded scholarships to the following government officials even though they were not needy. So it goes on to list Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who is the Minister of Education, Honorable Adwoa Safo, Minister of State in charge of procurement, Dr. Prince Ama, Executive Secretary of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. We wish to categorically state that the award of scholarships by GETFund under the GETFund Act 2000 Act 581 is not limited to needy but brilliant students. The fund may, per its mandate, also provide support for such other educational activities and programs to serve strategic national interests. The above having been said, it is worthy of note that the aforementioned persons have not been awarded scholarships by the fund under the current administration. So, Elvis, I'll take your thoughts on this issue of Auditor General GETFund and GETFund responding that their support is not only limited to brilliant but needy individuals.
Well, taking it from that note, I think the Auditor General clearly quoted the GETFund Act, which was clear that the scholarships are meant for needy but brilliant students who are supposed to be studying in university or tertiary institutions in Ghana. The Auditor General quoted it clearly. So by their mandate, that's what they are supposed to do. The other aspect of the mandate is what they talk about, that any other thing else. But how that has been interpreted to mean giving scholarship for people to go and study outside, maybe they will have to give us further and better particulars on that. This whole scholarship thing, if you read the Auditor General report, you realize that it has just been hijacked by some group of people and used for their personal benefit. If you read the report, it tells you that even from 2012 to 2016, the administrator actually did everything single-handedly. The administrator actually snubbed the board, actually abandoned the board, did not involve the board in whatever that happened during that period, that he single-handedly was issuing out everything under the the scholarship scheme under GETFund. And for me, people, we have, everything can be defended on this earth, okay? You can find a defense to defend anything, but I don't think that if you come to tell me that a member of parliament is needy but brilliant, I don't understand it. And I don't know how I'm going to understand a member of parliament being needy and brilliant.
Okay.
Dr. Omatio Prekope, for instance, studied for 3 weeks. What I have read is that he went to do a 3 weeks program at Harvard. And you are quoting the living expenses to be $12,000 for a 3 weeks program. And those who are doing the 1 year programs, how much do we pay for them for living expenses? But for his 3 weeks program, which happened in 2014, not when he became a minister, it's clear that he had that opportunity in 2014. The living expenses for 3 weeks study in Harvard was $12,000. So you ask yourself, those who are on the same scholarship in similar high-profile universities for a whole year, how much is their living expenses? For me, these are critical questions we need to ask.
But I think GETFund said, they said it's not only limited to needy but brilliant, but also to help people who serve strategic national interests.
How do they define by strategic national interest?
Okay.
If you go to any serious country, they determine what they call the pillars of their development. We want to go into artificial intelligence. We think that is the future. We think we need more medical doctors. We think we need this and that and that. They determine it. It is not for somebody's discretion. No, it is clearly defined that as a country, these are the critical areas we think we need to invest in. Then they look for the people. Those scholarships are not meant for needy but brilliant. They are meant for anybody who is going to that field. So they determine as a nation that area A, B, C, D are our very important areas if we are looking at future for our nation. So anybody who wants to go into this area, whether you have money or not, the state is sponsoring you. And that is one of the things China has done.
Okay.
They sponsored most of their citizens to the prestigious Ivy League universities around the world by the state to go and study and come back
and
to come and build a nation, because those are critical areas they have identified as needs that will propel development of the country.
Okay, but
so
these
for
three
them,
individuals
given
don't
this
fall under
excuse,
that.
who has defined it? Okay. Where can we find that as a nation we have defined that these are our priority areas that the state wants to spend to support anybody, irrespective of whether they are needy or not? If we don't have that definition, then it is somebody's discretion. And once you use discretion to do things, obviously abuses will happen. So for me, that nebulous mandate there, which anybody can interpret to mean anything, is completely something anybody can abuse. If that is the argument, then let's come out as a nation and say, for Ghana to become a full middle, we are now a lower middle income status. For us to become a full middle income status or to move to the first world in the next 20 years, we need to invest to build this capacity in area A, B, C. These are the areas that will propel the nation's development.
Okay.
Anybody who is going to study in that area, we will foot the bills, whether the person is needy or not. Okay. In this country right now, if you are looking for actuarial science, it is difficult to get people to go and do actuarial science. So if you say actuarial science because we want to grow the insurance industry, and we believe that the insurance industry has a lot to offer this country in terms of growth. So anybody who qualifies and meet the criteria to go and study actuarial science, the state will foot the bills. Then you are being clear in terms of what you are talking about as strategic national priority. But when it is not defined and it is somebody's discretion that defines it, then everybody can abuse it. I can call going to study anything as what? A strategic national asset. I can call going to study journalism as a strategic national decision. And I don't think that that's how we have to do it. Okay. It will be open to abuse. But I think that on the issues, Deputy Minister for Agric, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, his name is on the list. But he has come out to say that he has never had any scholarship from GETFund. He has stated it clear that he has. So you have to know that some people too have chopped some people their money. But for him, for instance, no amount was listed against him. But one lady, Ramana Sharif, is a journalist. She has been with Metro TV for many years before relocating outside Ghana. Her name is number 46 on the list. And her tuition fee is supposed to be 12,000 pounds. That is her tuition fee. And living allowance is supposed to be 10,130 pounds. So 22,130 pounds have been allocated to her name as somebody who has benefited from GETFund. She says she never received a peso from GETFund.
Okay.
So where is that money? So there are some loopholes in this thing that we need to accept.
Okay.
We need to follow up on. And this is where I have problem with the Auditor General. And I've made it clear to have even questioned, we had argument over it before.
What's your problem?
That when he is doing his audit, he only works with public institutions. Third parties that have been affected in the audit, they are never contacted. And then he publishes his report. It ends up damaging people's reputation. And the law says if that happens, you, the affected person, must rather go to court to go and challenge the findings of the auditor. And I have said that that is a loophole that must be fixed. Whether the law says you should contact third parties or not, for fairness, it's important to contact the third parties to find out that institution A said they've transacted this business with you. Did you actually transact a business with the person? Okay, they couldn't give me this document on the transaction. What do you have to show that that transaction actually is legal? But the Auditor General doesn't do that. He only goes to the public institution. So even if the person sitting there decides to lie or decide not to provide a document, then he comes to indict you, the third party, as having done something wrong. And that is what I've seen in the case of Ramana as we speak. As she's saying, she's not receiving any money. But in the report, she's supposed to have received £22,130.
But what do you make of all these names that have been mentioned who may not necessarily fit the brilliant but needy category? And what does this mean by for the people who actually are brilliant but needy and don't have access to
that? Is what I'm saying. The law is clear. As Auditor has quoted, GETFund scholarship, GETFund, not scholarship secretariat. GETFund scholarship by the law is supposed to for brilliant but needy students who are supposed to be studying Ghanaian universities or tertiary institutions, not abroad. That's not what the mandate said. They are supposed to be studying here. But you see, GETFund's excuse is that another mandate says that they can also invest in anything they deem as well strategic national importance. But who defines that national strategic importance? So long as it is not defined, this is what we will have. Because the person sitting in the seat now sits down and says, oh, Elvis is my friend. He said he wants to go and do his master's in journalism in UK. Oh, journalism is strategic national, so I'm giving him the scholarship. I don't think that is the way to go about it. Okay. If you want to hide behind that provision to defend things like this, then you cannot fault the people because the law also permits that. So we should be able to define where we want scholarship abroad to focus. We are here talking about lack of doctors, and Cuba offers to train doctors for us for free. Why can't we say, if you are going to study medicine outside, that one is compulsory that the state should fund it? Then we know that we are trying to fill the gap of training medical doctors in the system. Okay, let's train you in Ghana rather as a doctor. If you are going to be a specialist, if you go to specialize to become a consultant or something, that's where the state should come in. These things must be clearly spelled out so that the abuses can be avoided. But so long as the law is nebulous, states categorically that it should be in Ghana, but says you can invest in anything you deem is of national importance, and what is national importance is not defined, then I will use my discretion to determine what is important to the nation, even if it is not important to the nation, because the law is nebulous. I will decide what is important to the nation, and then this is what we'll have. Okay,
thank you very much, Elvis. We'll hear from lawyer Jantuah, but we'll go for a quick break. This is still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. We do want to hear from you, so do well to send those messages. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I did tell you that we have lawyer Kwame Jantuah with us. He's the chairman of the political committee of the CPP. We'll hear from him shortly. But I want to read Section 2B of the actual act that we're dealing with as far as GETFund is concerned. It says the fund is to provide the GETFund is supposed to provide the supplementary funding to the Scholarship Secretariat for the grant of scholarships of gifted but needy students for studies in the second cycle and accredited tertiary institution. Now, the Auditor General's report also on point 38 said GETFund administered scholarships, local and foreign, even though it did not have the mandate to do so. The amount of money spent on foreign scholarships could have paid for many more Ghanaians to gain tertiary level education as intended by the Act. Very disturbing is the fact that the gifted but needy students ended up borrowing from the students' loan scheme or elsewhere, while officials who are highly placed in society took the scholarships not even for the awards, but for themselves. So, Lawyer Jantuah.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because that was what I was going to. But before I start, you know, this country, we don't tend to value history.
Okay.
Today is 54 years of the 1966 coup. 1966 to 2020 is 54 years. I haven't heard any media house or anybody talk about that coup and the history we've learned from it. I think it would help us, for those who weren't born during that time, not to narrate the coup, but to show the effectiveness of that coup and whether that coup has helped this country. Because some of the things that happened then still continue today, and we haven't been able to solve it. So what are the things we learned from that coup vis-a-vis where we are today? Now, to come to the subject we are talking about. You see, the law has been breached. If you look at the law, you've read the law there, the objectives of the GETFund, it has been breached. Those who have been found to have breached that law, just put your hands up and let's charge you and pay the money back. It's simple as that. Don't let this thing go into a whole spiral of argument and argy-bargy and kicking left, right, center, because a particular party is in power and their members have been seen to have gotten money from the GETFund they weren't supposed to get. But the other question I asked, Dziffa, which is a bit strange to me, why has it taken the Auditor General 6 years to bring this up? This monies that is stated that Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh and Honorable Adwoa Safo and Dr. Prince Ama received was in 2014. We are in 2020.
Dr. Prince Ama was 2012 to 2015 to go and do his PhD.
Okay,
this is 3 years. Dr. Prince Ama.
The case is.
It's been 5 years at least.
5 years at least. Why?
No, the Auditor General, look, let me tell you, Auditor General has always said that they lack the capacity to audit all public institutions each year. So what they have been doing all these years is to just select a few institutions and audit per year. So there are institutions that have not been audited for years because we have so many state institutions that they couldn't audit at a go.
And they don't have the resources to go after
do. So
all
they do
of those.
selection of institutions based on, especially when issues crop up, then they select specific and then audit per year because of the human capacity. So that one, they have always made that argument.
It is an indictment on the Auditor General, so far as I'm concerned.
How so?
The Auditor General is an important stem in fighting corruption.
But have we resourced the office enough to come after all these institutions?
Let me come. It's an important stem in fighting corruption. The ones that they pick, do they know the ones that they don't pick? Do they know what is happening there?
Okay.
And do they not, if they don't pick those ones, do they not bypass it?
But have they been well resourced to go after all these agencies?
I'm coming there.
Okay.
I'm coming there. Pressure has to be put on the powers that be to resource those institutions that are meant to fight corruption. It is not enough for the president to come to Parliament or for the State of the Nation address and tell us they are fighting corruption when they are not resourcing those institutions that are supposed to fight corruption. The Auditor General, if for nothing at all, is one institution that would tell the people what is happening in public institutions. So if you tell me that because they don't have the capacity and they don't have they might have the willpower, they don't have the instruments and the equipment and all that to do it, it's an indictment. It's an indictment not only on the Auditor General, but it's an indictment on all of us. So why are we fighting corruption?
Well, we have to deal with the reality that we're still a developing country. There are things that we just can't afford.
Forget that development country tag. We don't class ourselves as a development country today. We say we are what? A lower medium.
That we still haven't fully.
So if we're a development country, don't let us take that. And let's take we're a development country.
But we do have limited resources.
Look. That's
the reality.
Wait. Don't we have resources to buy things we are not supposed to buy in this country?
Okay.
Don't we?
Like what?
4x4 vehicles. Don't we have resources to do that? Don't we have resources to do things that we are not supposed to be doing, like hold some of these outlandish events that government money can be used for? And the critical things that are required, we don't even look at them. And for me, one of the critical things, yes, ambulances are important, police vehicles are important, education is important, but corruption is a canker that is killing this country. It goes to the source of our revenue. And you tell me that the Auditor General says, I don't have the capacity to do X or Y, so it's okay. It can never be okay. I want to see the Auditor General stand on a soapbox and shout his voice out. I want to see Martin...
But Martin Amidu has been doing that for years now, hasn't he?
Has Martin Amidu? Are you saying that, if for nothing at all, Auditor General has brought some cases out?
Okay.
Since Martin Amidu, wait,
okay.
you brought his name up.
Okay, but let's move to the Auditor General saying...
No, you brought his name. Okay. I want to go there.
Okay, go ahead.
Since Martin Amidu became, what do you call it?
Special prosecutor.
Has he sent anything to court yet? Yeah, for people to say...
He sent one case to court.
Case.
Yes, that's still...
A man of his stature.
If you have limited resources, the reality is...
It is not enough.
But
Elvis, I'm not giving you the information.
Listen, if we say... Dziffa, if we say we are fighting corruption, we are fighting corruption.
Okay.
At the present moment, we are not fighting corruption.
What are we doing?
We're doing nothing. I would have expected that when the president came to speak at the parliament on, was it Friday? Thursday, he would detail some of the challenges that he is facing in terms of fighting corruption. Detail it, ditto. And tell us some of the challenges that the Auditor General, has. Because see, he is not the president for a party. He's a president for a nation. He's my president. He's your president. He's Elvis's president. So I expect him to detail it. These are the challenges we've realized. These are some of the things that is making it difficult for us to be able to finance and resource the Auditor General. We see the Auditor General coming out with so many challenges where corruption is concerned, but he can't tackle it because of ABC. And this is what we are going through. That's why we can't do. Then people can sit and analyze better. Media can have these kind of media sessions and throw out suggestions. But I didn't hear that. We are fighting corruption. Today I heard the president say in Oslo, we are fighting corruption. How are we fighting corruption? With what? With what kind of people? And look, the MPs, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who is my nephew, Honorable Adrasafo, who is my friend, Ahmed, I don't know them. I don't know him very well. Shouldn't have known better. When they parliamentarians then, they were in parliament. Shouldn't they have known better?
GETFund said that they make provisions for people working in the national interest. Doesn't that count for
So the courses they went to...
serve strategic national interest?
The courses that they went to run, do they serve strategic national interest in parliament? They should tell us. They should tell us what part of those courses, in terms of the subjects that they took, how it helps us. If it was not for private purpose, even if it's for national strategic reasons, isn't the education of the young ones and those who can't afford to go to university, although they are brilliant, although they are needy, shouldn't they come first before this one? Are you telling me that Matthew Opoku Prempeh or Adrasafo can't say to GETFund, okay, we have $12,000. We need another $12,000, so please help us. Would that not have been better? At least we see they've part-funded some of that. Wouldn't it be better? Because the position they hold, not every Ghanaian holds that position. Not every Ghanaian has that opportunity to go there to hold that position. So for nothing at all, they should give the needy and the brilliant a chance to earn some of these scholarships. I think it is wrong for anybody in government, in a government position,
They were not in government. They were
Well,
members of
They're in parliament. They're members of
Yeah.
parliament.
What is parliament?
Well,
What is parliament?
they're serving our interests. You continue.
Exactly. The
but-
judiciary, the executive, the legislature.
They are all members of government.
Exactly. So you can't
I'm
tell
from
me.
government.
You can't
Let's
tell
allow
me that.
him
You
make his
can't
point.
tell me
Please
that.
wrap up
You
for
can't
us,
tell me
Lawyer
that because
Jantuah.
he's not
Let's
a
use
minister.
executive.
Well, whatever the case is,
Go ahead.
the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive are governance bodies. Not every you and I are not sitting there.
So it's wrong for them. But the fact that members of parliament need this kind of assistance, what does that say about our state as a nation? You just say we are not developing, we've moved into middle income. And our parliamentarians
Who
need
proposes
help.
that a parliamentarian go and do this course? If it's needy in parliament, the speaker should propose.
And parliament should pay for it.
Yes, and parliament should pay for it. Not GETFund.
Okay, thank you.
Look, when you go to the law, if
Please
you have
wrap
the
up
law
first.
open there,
Oh, no, I don't.
well,
Okay.
I haven't opened mine.
Okay.
It tells you the sources of the fund,
Yeah.
where they get their sources
Oh, yes.
from.
That's
Yes,
2.5%
I think.
It is the
Yeah.
taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
It's the
2%
taxpayers'
So
money.
it says here an
allocation.
amount of money equivalent to 2% out of the VAT. Such other monies as may be allocated by
Allocated.
Parliament to the fund.
And then if they are
Monies
invested.
from funds from investments made by the Board of Trustees of the fund, grants, donations, gifts, other monies or properties that may in any manner become lawfully payable and vested in the Board of Trustees of the fund. So those are the things that are going to
whatever
be
the case is, the
the
people of
GETFund
Ghana,
are contributing
the
to.
people of Ghana have financed the education of those listed.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Okay. Thank you very much. Still Breakfast Daily on CCTV. Thank you so much for staying with us. The hashtag again is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. We do want to hear from you, so send those messages. We'll move on to our second story here. It says, government begins 5 billion Ghana Citi payment to savings and loans depositors today. I'm reading from page 3 of the Custodian, and I'm going to quote the president, what he said in the State of Nations address on Thursday. He says, all depositors of savings and loans and microfinance institutions, including DKM, which collapsed in 2015, will receive 100% of their deposits once the validation exercise is concluded. I am informed that the receiver of the savings and loans and the microfinance institutions will begin on Monday, 24th February, that's today, making payments to their customers. These monies totaling, so he talked about how it was up to 5 billion Ghana cedis. So this is great news for all the people who are panicking. We're going to get paid soon, starting today. Elvis, what do we make of this?
Well, I think government needs to be commended because this is a novelty around the world that in financial institutions actually collapse and the state commits to pay every penny that you put in. It hardly happens anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, you only get just a fraction of the money you have lost because by the law, if the liquidator is supposed to go through the process and get you your money, the guarantee is that you are just going to get a fraction of the money. It's good that people are going to get their money because we are living in an economy where standard of living is so high and people are finding it difficult to survive. So if people save from this kind of circumstances, that in case I need it, I can take it to do something, and all of a sudden, because of mismanagement and whatever decisions by managers of this institution, the people have virtually become paupers. People are now begging before they can leave. People have been thrown out of accommodation because they can't renew their rent. People's families are dead because they couldn't pay hospital bills. Meanwhile, their monies have been locked up. People's children have been withdrawn from schools because they can't pay school fees. Meanwhile, they have monies locked up in this institution. So for me, it has brought untold hardship on affected depositors.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that they are going to get their money back. I only pray that the payment process does not unnecessarily prolong so that these people can get part of them. Because this thing we are talking is about 2 years now that people's money have been locked up. Most of the institutions have been closed up by Bank of Ghana had actually closed down on their own because they didn't have money. So obviously people have been chasing their own money for over a year now. And therefore people are really in very difficult circumstances. So if this money is going to be paid, the only prayer is that the payment process will not be fraught with challenges, that people can easily have access there. Once their validation has been approved that indeed you have this amount of money, people can get the money and be able to solve whatever problems and challenges that they are going through. I've said it that the cry that the economy is hard or things are difficult is not necessarily because the economy has been so much mismanaged by the state, but because a large chunk of people have had their own money locked up but they cannot have access to, which has brought untold hardship on them. So I pray that this will go faster, and then from here we'll move to the securities industry, so that the over 6 billion that SEC has also determined as monies that have gone down the drain, we'll hear something from the state as to how to pay those people as well. This is 18 billion. Billions more than the capital expenditure. The whole capital expenditure is just less than 9 billion. So this is more than double the amount of money we are investing to bring growth into the economy. But it needs to be done. The state has taken the responsibility. I hope that we can clean this thing for people to get their money so that they can have some respite in their standard of living. It has brought untold hardship, very difficult ones to people.
Thank you very much, Elvis. Lawyer Jantuah.
In as much as it has brought untold hardship to people, was the process that was adopted in cleaning the so-called clearing of the financial sector, was it necessary? Was that the way? Not necessary. Was that the way it should have been done?
How should it have been done?
Look, at the present moment, from July 2019 to September 2019, domestic debt rose from 98 billion to 101.4 billion. You ask the question, how is this going to be paid? When you look at how much money was spent for this clearing, the so-called clearing of the banking sector, we spent 10.7 billion Ghana cedis. Could we not have ring-fenced some of the challenges we found with the banking sector and left the banks monitoring them efficiently to make sure that they are working? Could we not have done that? And if we had done that, would we have to now find 5 billion cedis to pay debtors? Should we have done that? I think we have messed up the way we looked at this banking system, because this debt is going to be with us for a long time. In as much as, yes, it's good that we are paying depositors their monies back. But the other thing we've also done, we have set a precedent now. Look, when this thing started, the first question that was asked the government, would you be prepared to pay depositors their money back? They said no. They said it's none of their business. It's the depositors decided to put their money in there. No,
that has to do with, I believe that's the men's gold problem, where Bank of Ghana and SEC came out to say, we warned you and you went at your own risk. But the regular depositors for the savings and loans, I'm not sure they said they were not going to help them pay.
They didn't say anything at the time.
Okay.
If it's for the
men's gold customers that they
that's
said,
fine. Yeah. But I didn't hear them say anything at the time that, yes, when it started, I heard people crying, people talking, people saying to government, do something about it, do something about it, do something about it. Perhaps the point that government wanted, or the way that government wanted to do it, was to wait for 2020. It's an election year. Definitely, they've used it to their advantage. Okay. The government in power has used it to their advantage. But if they've used it to their advantage, they have used taxpayers' money to use such a thing to their advantage.
But this still does not include the men's gold depositors. And I believe when they came to the savings and loans and microfinances, they were assured that they were going to be fine. They were assured of that. They just didn't know when it will happen. But they knew that they were going to be paid. The depositors knew they were going to be paid. The only people that this did not cover was the men's gold customers, and they were the ones screaming the most for government to come support them.
Yes, I hear that. But the point I'm making is that they're using debt to pay.
Okay.
It's mounting up our debt. I've already told you that the cleaning of the so-called bank palaver is 10.7 billion.
Yeah.
is going to increase the debt, and it's going to be all of us
who will pay for
No,
it.
in fact, the total, including this, is going to be 18 billion, including this one.
And we're all going to
now
collectively
18 billion
pay.
cedis for the cleanup of the financial sector.
The NDC cannot absolve themselves from this at all. What did they do when they were in power to monitor the financial sector? What did they do? If they had done what they were supposed to do, would the MPP now have to come and tell us that they are clearing the financial sector of all these encumbrances that we saw?
Okay.
I think, look, when you put a government in power, and for me, this is the challenge of the people of Ghana. When you put a government in power, make sure that the government you're putting in power understands dito why you're putting them there. And you putting them there should understand the situation in which the country is in. And that is the challenge we have. A lot of people who vote, especially in the rural areas, do not understand the nitty-gritties of government and the challenges we face.
Okay,
and sometimes, most of these challenges that we face are caused by politicians themselves.
Okay, so speaking of NDC, the minority is saying that there's no impact from some of MPP's 78% fulfilled promises. We'll be taking a look at that shortly, but I've received a lot of your messages, so I'll read that before we look at our last story. Buti Benjamin says, there's a big difference between application for a financial support for capacity building and scholarship, which can be funded by GETFund. But the mad rush to crucify people without proper checks is highly unfair, and I think the Auditor General must come clear to end the brouhaha. Ghana first. Charles Nyame from Asamankese says, whoever thought Akufo-Addo and his NPP were coming to right the systemic wrongs would be highly disappointed by now, because they have only come to grab state monies. Okay, so we can't necessarily, confirm everything else you said there, but thank you for sending that message. We have some more messages here. Let's get this right, Dziffa. Is the GETFund meant only for needy people? If yes, who fits that category and by whose definition? This is coming from Umar Nuhu from Wa. What worries me most is that those that are making a fuss over this GETFund scholarship thing were the ones who were not meticulous enough to deny Adjoa Safo and Napo those scholarships. They should spare us their incompetence. Okay, thank you for your messages. Again, you can send more of your messages, but we'll take a look at our final story here. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. No impact from NPP's 78% fulfilled promises. That's come from Honorable Suhini, who's the MP for Tamale North. I'm going to quote him. He said, I am saying that the president is inaccurate when he suggests that the people are not fact-checking and refuting some of his claims. And I'm also saying that even some of the boxes they claim they have ticked, which you can say, yes, they have ticked, the impact that we expect to have is almost non-existent, and in some cases is rather a threat to the future growth of the country. So he said this on the big issue. Honorable Jantuah, your thoughts on the minority saying MPPs?
What did he say? What are the boxes?
There's no impact.
Yes, what were the boxes that were supposed to be ticked?
Well, he goes on to mention them on a big issue, but he's just saying that the 2016 manifesto promises that the president and the party said they were going to fulfill, some of them are practically non-existent. And that's according to Honorable Suhini.
You know, when the MPP was brought into power, the first thing I said that I would judge them on job creation.
Okay.
How many jobs they've been able to create by the end of their tenure. I don't see that a lot of jobs have been created. When you listen to people and you see the cry of people around the country in terms of them not having the bare necessities to live, you would say government really hasn't been able to create the kind of jobs that are necessary. When you look at the youth today, when you look at our children and nieces and nephews who have finished university, who are still at home, not getting any employment,
but we have NAPCO, we have NEIP, which was supposed to empower entrepreneurs to create jobs. We have the Planting for Food and Jobs, the Youth in Afforestation.
The challenge we have here is that there initiatives that have just started.
Okay.
And maybe going down the road into 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, you'll now see the fruits of that coming up. But as we stand today, I haven't seen that. I always say that for me, the process of 1D, 1F could have been done differently.
Okay. Absolutely
Differently. That would probably have created additional income and stopped capital flight of foreign exchange out of this country. And I would have looked at the strategic areas where capital flight is quite frequent. So, sugar, rice, poultry. Look at jute sacks.
Fruits and vegetables. We have the eco pineapple juice. So it's a good starting point.
Gold. All those areas.
Cocoa.
Where we can add value, turn it around so that we stop the export
and
of
then we
foreign
export
exchange.
finished goods instead of raw materials.
And then what then happens is that, look at the Citi today.
I have to wrap you up.
Yes, they
so
say
Elvis
it's stabilized. It's stabilized because of what is happening in China. Can we sustain it?
Okay.
Is it sustainable?
Okay.
I think we need a much bigger platform and time to go detail into this thing for us to see whether, yes, MPP have been able to achieve or whether they haven't been able to achieve.
Okay.
But from my point of view, I think where jobs are concerned, they failed.
Okay. Elvis.
Minority
saying there's no impact.
On that because he didn't mention anything specific. I want to go back to the scholarship.
Okay, briefly.
We are on social media and daily basis. We see brilliant students, 6 A's, 7 A's, and then they say they can't go to school because their parents don't have money. And sometimes it takes individuals to raise funds for them. I ask myself, so as a country, when WASI is released or BC is released, do we really trace those who actually made the good grades to find out whether they were able to make it to the next level or not? Obviously, with what we see also, it meant that everybody is on his own. It means that those who get the 6 A's and 7 A's who can't go to school, nobody cares about them. I am thinking that if a nation is serious to offer scholarship to people who will come and make some difference, I think these are the people we should be looking out for. How many people made the good grades from WASI and BEC that their parents can't take care of them to the next level? They are on social media begging. They beg politicians, they beg business people, they beg honorary people that my parents can't pay my fees. Can you help me? And we see it on yearly basis. Every year results are released. You are flooded with a lot of these posts on social media with very good grades, and they can't go to school. So if we have scholarship schemes and they are not targeted to get such people on board for them to be the beneficiaries, then we are actually losing the right human resource that should have been supported with scholarship schemes. So I think that this is an eye-opener. It's good the Auditor General has done this job. I think we should revolutionize scholarship in this country and begin to say if anybody should get 6 to 10 or 6 to 15 in secondary school, and we want to put all of them and find out how many of them that can't further their education because their parents can't pay. If it's established that they can't go because their parents can't pay and we see the grades, let's put all of them on scholarship for them to go. Then we'll be making good use of scholarship. But when you have a system where people will set grades, some even get admission to medical school, but then their parents can't pay the fees for medical school, so they have to drop out. And if we are not targeting scholarship to get such people to benefit and become resources for the nation tomorrow, but we are giving it to people that we believe that are in a position to afford, then we are not using the scholarships for the purpose for which we should be using it. So for me, my appeal is that every year we see these appeals on social media, people with very good grades. Let's revolutionize scholarships. Let's refine the system and see how we can capture, because if you go to WAEC, you have the entire results. And you know all those who have the good results, and then you find out whether all of them are making it to the next level. Those who can't make it because of financial reasons, you can automatically bring them on board because they've already shown academically that they are capable.
Thank you very much. Elvis is the editor of The Finder. And of course, lawyer Kwame Jantuah is the former vice chair of PIAC and the chairman of the political committee of the CPP.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.